Barely 24 hours ago, I posted about Olandria and how she was being attacked for doing the sunglasses challenge, and how this was more proof that the idea of body positivity is for white women in society. And I broke down with proof from the whole 20th and 21st centuries how the system has been stratified to put certain women on top and other women, no matter how they overfill the beauty standards, on the bottom. And look at what's happened in just 24 hours. If you look up Olandria sunglasses on TikTok, you get this kind of mental health message you can pause to read. And all those videos I referenced yesterday of the young black women doing this challenge have been taken down. It has been banned from TikTok. I told you all in January 2025 was going to be the year of consequences. Let me tell you how it's shaking out and how you can be prepared for what's next. First, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, make sure you hit the notification bell. And let's get into it because it's crazy what's going on. So people have rightfully been asking, where are all the people who had something to say about Olandria doing the sunglasses challenge? She didn't even invent it, but they had so much to say, got it taken down, but now as quiet as a damn mouse about Huda engaging in actual racism again. They ran like rats because this was their goal all along. So this is what I like to call woke swatting. This is the term I have invented. Regular swatting is a form of criminal harassment where people call the police on someone when the person is gaming or just online living their life and tell them, oh, there's an event happening at whatever place, to make the SWAT team and other law enforcement come out and harass that person and possibly get them unalived. So here's how woke swatting works. You see somebody doing something that you don't like and you weaponize the language of mental health to then harm that person. This is the message that comes up now if you just search Olandria sunglasses on TikTok. And you can read it. It's bullshit. It reminds me of when you would talk about serious issues on Reddit, if you had to talk about experiencing sexism, harassment, whatever as a woman, and you would get all of those Reddit cares messages. It's to drown you in a supposed sympathy so you'll shut up and you'll be silenced. The app will actually keep you from reposting and talking about the issue because people are saying, oh, you're a danger to yourself. It's to silence you. Woke swatting is usually based in racism, misogynoir, which is hatred specific to black women, sexism, some kind of ism. How can you tell? Easy peasy. When there's a real issue, these same people are nowhere to be found. They came out the woodworks about this challenge and literally sunglasses, how it was so dangerous to young girls and she's body checking and she's promoting ED. And Huda is engaging in actual racism. Where the fuck are they? They have every excuse in the book to explain it away or just ignore it because the purpose of woke swatting is to silence you only. It's the weaponization of things that are meant to help because it's a very subtle way to violently erase and harass you. If you look crazy, if you say, I'm getting too many Reddit prayers messages, like, why are people harassing me? People are, oh, they care about you. Maybe they misunderstood. It's very sea lining. It's quite gaslighty. It's one of those things that's very difficult to prove. As Toni Morrison said in Playing in the Dark, the fish never thinks about the water it is swimming in. It is simply the element that surrounds it. And so people see this all the time and they are so desensitized, they don't even realize it's a problem. But when I saw this instance, I thought of so many more instances. There was that young black woman last year, the creator on TikTok, who said thin was her favorite thing to be. And when I tell you the harassment that woman got, I've never seen the likes of it. They got her account taken down for a while. They were, getting her all kinds of issues with the platform, only to turn around and then make skinny talk a thing. They didn't care what she said. It was just a convenient excuse to put negative attention on her, to woke swat her so she could not monetize what she said. And then it spawned a whole movement where all of these people who were doing skinny talk got all this attention and all these followers. The same people who said she was engaging in eugenics as a black woman all of a sudden could not consume enough skinny talk content. People are becoming far more subtle with their racism and their misogynoir and their sexism. And we have to watch out for techniques like woke swatting. And be careful that you're not engaging with them, because there were so many people I saw who probably had good intentions, who were like, oh, I love Olandria. I, never had any idea of anything like this, but I have to criticize her on this point. You can certainly have a valid criticism of a thing or a person, no matter who they are. But if you want to check the validity of that criticism, look at the amount of criticism they are receiving in relationship to the supposed offense. I saw more people talking about this, like I said, than I ever did talking about Huda engaging in racism, but then I have seen people talking about actual crimes. Okay, let's say it was body checking. Let's say it was harmful or whatever. Why would the body checking only be an issue when Black women do it? Because here's the headphones challenge. As you can see from the date I've left up, this one was up from last year, and the headphones challenge was still going this summer. The sunglasses challenge is an outgrowth of the headphones challenge. First, girls were putting their headphones on their waist to show that they didn't break, how small their waist was. Here's another one. This girl said, oh, the only reason I got headphones to let my abs hear the music. But look at the likes. Typically, your likes number is about 10% of your views. So she's got almost 20,000 likes, 200,000 views, you can guess. And let's go back to this one. This one has 200,000 likes or more. That means it probably had 2 million views plus. Why is it not a problem when other people are body checking? And this was a massive trend. Look at this one, almost 100,000 likes. Another one with over 1 million views. From this year. This was from June, late June of 2025. But you want me to believe now in October, you're all of a sudden so woke and you hate body checking? Wake up, guys. It's a scam. Because if something is a problem, it's always a problem. But you can go and look at these videos on TikTok for yourself. The ones from last year and the ones from this year, because this one's recent, are still up. Never had a problem. But they have banned the sunglasses one specifically. When Olandria's name shows up, you get this TikTok cares message. And that's how you can tell woke swatting. If you do a thing, it's a problem. But when it's been a trend in society or other people have been doing it for much longer, it was just fine. Here are some other examples of ways woke swatting can manifest. So you remember when everybody was doing the challenge, oh, I would like a ring, I would like a ring. This Black woman posted her post, I've never seen a ring so large in my life. This is the top comment. 108,000 likes on this comment. Bro, anytime I see big rings, my mind immediately goes to degloving. I have such a huge fear of it. Are you well mentally? I didn't see them posting anything about degloving on Paris Hilton's ring or Taylor Swift's ugly ring. So you're going to get some version of fake concern, or now it's time to be woke. Now it's time to complain. I saw so many comments about blood diamonds and how much must that cost? And oh my God, there are children starving in the world. Again, this was not a problem when we didn't have access to big diamonds. When it was Black people mining the diamonds, being exploited for the diamonds, it was all love and light. But now that they're wearing diamonds, all of a sudden, oh, people could not possibly engage in diamonds. So if they're not weaponizing the language of mental health, they're going to accuse you of engaging in some kind of ism or having bias or discrimination. So in this case, oh my God, you're engaging in the blood diamond trade. That's just so cruel, or fake concern. Something is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen now that you're doing it. Young girls are going to get EDs. Your finger's going to get degloved from that big old ring. Another example of woke swatting everyone's familiar with is Kamala Harris in the last election. So the leftists and others were online screaming day and night about how they couldn't possibly support her and how they were going to vote for anyone, including T, except for Kamala because of Palestine. And oh, how the harm that was going to come to Gaza if she got into office. And before y'all even try to twist it, I was pro-P before y'all even knew what that was, so don't even. But you can tell when it's woke swatting, when it's just designed to take down a person from a marginalized group, specifically a Black woman, because of the response. Because how does voting for T help Gaza at all? It's not like he was pro-Gaza. He was very pro the other place. So that was just very stupid logic. And above all, what happened after the election? Post November 2024, all those leftists and whatnot, nowhere to be found. Until Kamala went out doing her book tour for 107 days, and they came again to harass her. And she's like, if it's all about Palestine, baby, why don't you go to the White House? The person you elected is there. He's got the power to do something about the situation. You can tell it's just woke swatting because the goal is to silence her, to make sure she can't speak. She's not in power right now, okay? She's outside of office. She has no power. Why are you aggravating her except to silence her? But this is why I'm teaching you to recognize the technique. You have to name things as they are, because people so easily get swept up in these things because they can sound good. As I said, I myself am pro P. So when people said that they had a criticism, people are, of course, tempted to engage, especially when you share the same views and whatnot. But the problem is no solution is good enough because the problem is not the issue they're talking about. It's just a cover from their deep and disturbing hatred of Black women. As Kamala said in this particular interaction, the person started screaming about their issue, and she said, actually, I talk about this in the book. They start screaming louder. And she's like, well, do you want to talk or don't you? Do you want to solve the problem or don't you? Why are you here screaming over me and not talking to the sitting person of the administration, the leader in charge of what's happening there right now? And if you're so pressed, why aren't you trying to find a solution with this? What happened last election, what was done to Kamala Harris, is the perfect example of woke swatting. Because what else happened post-November? People were saying, oh my God, see, she didn't really care, because a person who doesn't have an office isn't doing work. The point is to make you work for free. The point is they didn't want you to have the responsibility. I'm sorry, they didn't want you to have the title. They didn't want you to have the visibility, but they want you to have all the responsibility. They were like, well, she could still do this and she could still do that. They want you to work for free. They want you back to your role in their minds of being the sidekick, of being the background girl. As I said back during the summer, everybody loved Olandria when she was on the downswing during the Love Island season, when she was getting ignored by Taylor, when he was picking other girls over her, when he was embarrassing her, when she seemed to be chasing a man who had no interest. In addition to being the house therapist, they loved her because you're supposed to have a hard luck story or you're supposed to be the sidekick. That's what they enjoy seeing. And it doesn't matter, actually. They're happy if you're beautiful, because it feeds into the narrative that no matter how beautiful, desirable, educated, gracious that you are, it's never enough to overcome what they perceive as a born natural hierarchy. You can never escape your place in it. So they're very happy for you to be there and have these issues. But when she started to overcome that, when she was open to doing something different, when she stepped out from the other people's shadows, when she got into the relationship with Nick, when she began shining and she wasn't staying in that hard luck mentality, all of a sudden the people turned on her like an ingrown toenail. It was crazy. Remember all the girls on the island? Oh my God, she's just the best. She's a great listener. She gives the best advice. She's so mature. She deserves better. When she got better, they were falling out, frothing at the mouth, and now they are laughing at people calling her slurs. The easiest way to recognize woke swatting will always be they will claim you're engaging in something bad, usually some kind of ism, and use it as an opportunity to insult you as a human being. And the insult is going to be deeply personal. I still remember all the horrendous things PETA ever said to Aretha Franklin. So, PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, they're all about veganism and being anti-fur and stuff like that. Aretha Franklin was, of course, very famous for wearing fur, especially in her later career. Now, it's important to point out, white women in Hollywood have been rocking fur morning, noon, and night since the early 20th century. Literally, if you watch old black and whites like I like to, you will see them in furs all the hours of the day. And this trend was continuing into the 80s and 90s with shows like Dynasty, and you saw Collins and those women in fur all the time. But look at what PETA said about Aretha Franklin. At that year's Grammys, they said she was the worst dressed on the runway, and her crime was wearing yet another vulgar fur. Their spokesperson said, "You looked as if you were going to perform I Am the Walrus by the Beatles." What does that have to do with anything? So you have gone out of your way to insult her size and say that a black woman looks like an animal because your Maggie had on a fur? And I'm very upset because I could not find the entire statement anywhere. I literally remember when this happened. I had just graduated from high school, and it made an impression I've never forgotten. The whole statement was just so horrible. The way they discussed her body was, I wanted to vomit. And check this out. So this article goes on to say the other offenders on the list were Marilyn Manson, Eva Longoria, Gabby from Desperate Housewives. In her trashy furs, she looks like the streetwalker of Wisteria Lane, says PETA. They said she looked like a prostitute, this Latina woman, but Kylie Minogue, the British singer, they said she was cold-blooded for having a python purse. And you can read what they said about Lindsay Lohan right there on the screen. Look at how mild the critique of the white women is compared to the black woman, Aretha Franklin, and this Latina, Eva Longoria. It's an excuse to say what they were already thinking, and they cover it up in the guise of, oh my God, I'm just so concerned about the animals. Oh my God. You remember when PETA compared factory farming to slavery? Apparently, all pictures of this horrific campaign have been scrubbed from the internet, but this article describes it. The scenes are graphic. The charred body of a black man juxtaposed with a burning chicken, a shackled black leg shown next to the chained leg of an elephant, a woman getting branded next to the panel of a chicken getting branded. The message is unmistakable. Animals are suffering the same fate as enslaved black people. That's what people thought. But the message really is that you're not human. You are not accorded the same rights and privileges of a human being. In their mind, of course, they think animal cruelty is on the same level as being cruel to you. The reason this line is so famous, it's how people really feel. And that's a form of collective woke swatting I think we're all familiar with. You'll be minding your own business and people will pop up out of nowhere like in a horror house. Oh my God, whatever inconvenience or problem in the world is just like slavery. Baby, why are we in it? Black people don't own the meat industry. As far as I know, we are not deeply participating in factory farming. Why are we being brought up? Easy. It's meant to diminish and denigrate your experience and your suffering and get you involved in a back and forth about your humanity. Spend all this time calling out how the people are just lying about what they're saying. Going back to the article, they had history professors talking about why this campaign is both horrific and inaccurate. First, you have to waste time stating the obvious, that you're a human being. Comparing humans and animals is like apples and oranges. You cannot compare the systematic deprivation of people's rights, their culture, and heritage to animals. Doing so belittles the legacy and horrors of slavery. Then you have to spend time calling out the lie. Horses and dogs were treated better than blacks, says Horton, a Grambling professor. The psychological presupposition that a slave was less than an animal, like it's chattel slavery, property, you're a thing, so you're not even a being like an animal. That was the whole thing. As he said, slaves were considered property. They were shipped like sardines in a can, worked without pay for years, and black women were violated. Yes. An estimated 12 million Africans, it's actually much higher, were enslaved, imported to the New World. 1/3 of them, so that would be 4 million people, but again, much, much higher than that, were, died before they were placed on the ships. But this part gets it right. The panels display nameless victims from the past who didn't get a chance to tell their stories, and now they are lowered to the status of animals. That's the point. That's what woke swatting is meant to do. It seems like they're trying to make an argument for something good. Oh, animal cruelty is wrong. But really, it's about denigrating you. And in case you think, oh my God, you're being oversensitive, here's another instance. This isn't the first time PETA has found itself in the middle of a fierce debate. PETA offended the Jewish community recently with a Holocaust on Your Plate campaign that showcased photos from the slaughterhouses and Nazi camps together. They actually left these photos up. So here's one. So you've already been warned about this. You've gotten in trouble, stirred up a big controversy, and you go and create another campaign, this time featuring about Black Americans. I found this old screenshot. It's clearly not about the animals. It's about reinforcing what you think is the hierarchy. This campaign literally says animals being treated the same as enslaved Black people. What horror. And that's why you're always the topic they bring up. That's why any minor inconvenience, oh my God, it's like slavery. Because the idea is my life is not supposed to be this way. I'm living the same as you. The horror, the horror. In conclusion, I want you to watch out for woke swatting. Most people nowadays, despite the administration, are too smart to call you names to your face or things like that. So this is what they're going to do to try to disempower you. They're going to weaponize the language of mental health to harm you. And we see that all the time, from the girls on Love Island. You're making me feel uncomfortable. I feel unsafe. Why? Because somebody looks good and is shining. They will accuse you of having a bias or somehow discriminating against them. Oh, you're just being a mean girl. If you don't let me wear your culture as a costume, you're engaging in reverse racism. And finally, they will claim you're engaging in an ism. If you don't allow me to compare slavery to animal cruelty, you are just a speciesist, okay? These mentalities are almost always based in racism, misogyny, sexism, some kind of marginalization, okay? And it's really just an excuse for violent erasure and harassment. Claiming that you're doing something wrong is their excuse to then call you names, call for violence against you, and enable harm towards you in a way that is socially acceptable. So-and-so is engaging in an ism. I didn't like what they said. I am going to go attack them. It is fine for me to now dox them on the internet. You see and hear all kinds of things. People are calling for women to be assaulted, harmed, even unalived. And nobody says anything. Oh, because that person, what they said made people uncomfortable. And just like real swatting, because people are afraid it will happen to them if they stand up for you, nobody's going to. So don't even allow yourself to get enmeshed in the back and forth. Because people are so wild. I'm going to be talking about the concrete step-by-step actions you need to take to protect yourself from pre-woke swatting and woke swatting over on Patreon later today. I've got a whole survival kit that we're doing for you guys. Happy Halloween. But I can say this next bit generally. Olandria has been a model of how to act when you're in these situations. I talk about this in that last video I made, Black Women, the World is Watching You, so go back and check that out. But when you're in these situations and the thing is not that important, bend so you don't break. A lot of people thought, oh my gosh, she should have taken down the video. I wish she hadn't had to take down the video, but she was smart to hop on the wave. Woke swatting is about silencing you, so pretend to be quiet. She is incredibly media savvy, and she knows that she is going to need the public support before long. And of course, 2 seconds later, Huda was laughing at her being called a slur, and because Olandria had bent to the popular will of the public and taken down the sunglasses video and said, oh, I don't want the trend to harm anyone. I'm so sorry if it was taken that way. Now she has the moral high ground to call for action against somebody who's engaging in violent slurs against her. And although we don't have time to parse the entire statement, let's have a quick look at Olandria's statement about what happened with Huda. So just read the statement. A brilliant woman. Because do you see what's not in the statement? Huda's name. Okay, what Olandria says is, I do not condone racism of any kind, nor do I entertain it. That kind of language is never acceptable. Not in anger, not as a joke, not ever. Words like that carry generations of pain, and pretending otherwise only keeps the cycle going. Skip down to the bottom. While I anticipate this will result in surface levels apologies that fade in a few days, I would like to transform this moment into something actionable. And then she calls for people to donate to HBCUs and Black scholarships. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. She didn't fall into the trap of getting into a back and forth. What did she say? Something that can't be disproven. Racism is wrong. Well, who can argue with that? I am donating to causes that are anti-racism. Join me if you are also anti-racism. What is there to argue with? Nothing at all. In this season, you really do have to keep your head on a swivel. These people are going to seize on any possible pretext to get you out of the way, to woke swat you, to cancel you, so that they can then enable their problematic faves to run around unchecked. Because like I said, people are so worried about sunglasses, but nothing to say when there's actual racism afoot. It's just giving you want to harm someone who you don't like. And that dislike is based in racism, misogyny. This is nothing new. We've always had to work twice as hard to get half as far. So you already know what needs to happen. And others, because I know my platform is diverse and reaches so many people. I'm glad everybody is here. So when you see this stuff, you have the ability to call it out directly. I loved how Nick's sister said that Huda was going to give a fake surface level apology. Nick's sister, being white, has the privilege to call Huda by name and say that her apology is going to be fake and superficial. So please, if you are really serious about an ally life, you need to be using your voice to call out others, to speak in a way others cannot. Make sure you hit subscribe below if you haven't. You can go see me on Patreon, Cecilia Regina, because we're going to be getting into the meat, the nitty gritty today. This is my Halloween present to you all, the survival guide of several in-depth techniques you need.